Hello and welcome to episode 98 of the Movie Bros podcast. We're your hosts as always, Duncan and Hayden. Hello.
Welcome back, everyone. If you're a returning listener, if you're not a returning listener, please don't leave. We need the listening hours. We are two brothers who love movies, watch movies, talk about movies, and are now recording it. We cover every and all genres, mostly. I don't think there's a genre we haven't touched on at this point. Although, if you can think of something we haven't done, be sure to let us know. You can find us at the movie_bros on Instagram. I believe we're also on YouTube. I don't remember. Yeah. Duncan, what else do you usually say?
I'm not in my flow state.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spotify, YouTube, Instagram, find us wherever. If you have comments, complaints, compliments, whatever, you know where to find us. With that being said, we're just going to jump right in. And if you are a returning listener or not, really, you'll know in just a couple of weeks at this point, you actually might see us either on YouTube or on Spotify if you download the video, because we might even have a video, who knows, for our 100th episode. And with that being said, we're going to jump into T2 Judgment Day / Terminator 2 Judgment Day / just Terminator 2. So, Hayden, what are some fast film facts about that movie?
So this is T2 Terminator 2 Terminator 2 Judgment Day. It has lots of shorthand. This came out in 1991. It is 1 year older than me. This is written and directed by James Cameron, and I actually had misremembered this as, obviously I knew that this one was James Cameron because you can really feel the James Cameron-ness of it, but we'll get into that later. I, for some reason, remembered the first Terminator as being a Ridley Scott film, and it's not. He also wrote and directed that one. But regardless, this is the second one. So, written and directed by James Cameron with assistance on the script by William Fisher. This stars, obviously, Arnold Schwarzenegger in the main title role, with Linda Hamilton, Edward Furlong, Robert Patrick, Joe Morton, and Danny Cooksey, featuring Jeanette Goldstein and S. Apathia Merkson. It's the best I'm going to do there. Returning composer here is Brad Fiedel, also did the first one. Cinematography here is Adam Greenberg, with assistance from James Cameron. In many ways, he is often behind the camera setup on his movies, just goes uncredited lots of times. And then the trivia I have for this is that this was nominated for 5 Oscars. What do you believe they were? One of them is going to be obvious.
Practical effects or special effects or something along those lines for sure.
So it did win Best Visual Effects because the huge push forward that this has is the liquid metal effect. This also won Best Sound Effects. It was nominated for Best Film Editing. It also won Best Sound and was nominated for Best Cinematography.
So what year was this again?
So this came out in 1991, which means it was the 1992 Oscars.
Because I'm just curious, if I look up 1992 Oscars.
Well, I'm almost certain that was also the year of Jurassic Park? No. Jurassic Park came out in 92, so that would have been 1993 Oscars.
Looks like Silence of the Lambs.
It's a fucking great movie.
Let's see, 1 second. Cape Fear, City Slickers, JFK, Bugsy, Barton Fink, Thelma and Louise. Where is... Come on, cinematography. Oh, wait, hold on. This is the wrong year. God dang it. 1991 Oscars. Whatever. IMDb. Okay, so... Cinematography. Wait, no, that's not... Are you sure? Are you sure it was 1991, Hayden? Because it says best cinematographer for both 91 and 92 are not Terminator.
Yeah, I said it was nominated.
I thought you said it won. What did it win? Did it win for anything?
It won for best sound, it won for best effects,
Hold on,
sound
let me
effects editing, best effects, visual effects,
find
and best makeup for 1992. It was
one
nominated
second.
as well for best cinematography and best film editing.
It's fine. So yeah, it was nominated. Okay, the winner for cinematography was JFK that year, which
I don't know if I've ever
okay.
actually seen it, so I don't know.
And then it was also you said it was sound. Let's see what
That
else.
it was nominated
It
for
did.
and lost.
So the best effects, sound effects, and editing. It looks like that was all one category,
See, that makes sense.
and it was only against Backdraft and Star Trek Six: The Undiscovered Country, which
Star Trek
I feel
Six: The
like those are
Undiscovered Country blows ass. That movie sucks.
well, just comparatively. I'm like, yeah, this was clearly gonna win.
Well, sure.
And then best effects, visual effects, it was against Backdraft and Hook. And I can't think of a lot of actual visual effects in Hook. I feel like a lot of that was
So
practical.
right, but at the time, this was so new because visual effects CGI wasn't that big of a deal. It's why people hold this one in such a high regard. So you would be like competing against practical effects. So the Hook one makes sense.
And it won in best makeup against Hook and Star Trek, which
Yeah,
again, I think that makes total sense with all the stuff they do with Arnold in this. We'll talk about in a second, but
for
yeah.
sure.
Okay. Okay. Most of that actually makes, ooh, and then best sound against Beauty and the Beast and JFK, Silence of the
Yeah,
Lambs,
Beauty
and
and the Beast.
Backdraft.
Fun fact is the only animated movie until Up to be nominated for best picture, I think. And
Really?
then pretty much after 1992, they create the category of best
Of
animated
animated?
movie
Huh.
because, in my
There's a whole,
opinion,
I mean, there's plenty of,
the Academy are snobs and don't like recognizing animated films as being of the same caliber as dramatic stuff.
okay. Well, I was just curious to see kind of what was what. So ratings, I believe, is next. What was your thoughts on this, Hayden? Without getting into too much detail, just what your rating was.
It's fluctuated over time. I would say on this rewatch, it's like a 3.5, maybe a 4 out of 5. There's some obvious detractors we're going to get into later, but on the whole, still very, very enjoyable.
Yeah, I also gave it a 3.5 because yeah, I think there is a lot to be. Like, I have not seen this in a very long time, to be
For
honest,
sure.
and I'd forgotten. Okay, we'll talk about it in a second, but I'd forgotten the runtime, and I
It's a,
think
yeah.
it's fucking long, but also, and the copy that I watched from the parents' house is the whatever Skynet edition that has like 16 extra minutes or whatever the fuck it is. But
No.
I guess I had forgotten how much of it is the cool shit and how much of it is like things that I felt could be cut or re-edited. I guess that's why I'm surprised it was even nominated for editing.
Well, I think it is possible you felt that way because you were watching essentially the unedited version.
Maybe, maybe.
I wonder if maybe that affects our rating sometimes because I know that I'll sometimes watch like the director's edition of this, that, and the other, and are we essentially watching two different movies at that point?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how distinctive I feel like the two cuts can be. Because yeah, if you put like the theatrical Justice League against Zack Snyder, I'm like, yeah, it's an
Well, I mean,
entirely
those are literally two different movies, though.
sure, but at what point is it the same and what point is it different? Like, is 16 minutes enough to make it an entirely different film? Is it 8 minutes? Is it
Yeah.
even if it's only a few minutes? Is that can those few minutes completely change the movie? Things to think about. Yeah. Well, I feel like I just want to get it out of the way. One of my main issues, and I've always had this stance on this movie, but then I've been trying to look at it from a different perspective of like, oh, a lot of my issues comes from the kid in this,
It
but
is kind of unavoidable, yes.
But I'm like, "Okay, is that his fault from the acting, or is it the writing, or is it that's what kids were like at that era? That it's just accurate?"
I don't think it's his fault. I think we live in an era where there are more, like, good child actors than not. We live in the era of, we grew up with Daniel Radcliffe and
Sure.
Emma Thompson, and now we have, people like Finn Wolfhard and Millie Bobby
Mhm.
Brown. Like, we
Sure.
we have such good examples of really competent child actors that when we go back and see people who were just, you know, kids who could memorize lines essentially,
Yeah.
it makes them seem worse. That being said, though, he's really fucking annoying.
Dude, there's so multiple notes in my notes is just like, man, whatever's going on in the scene totally either takes me out of it or just kills anything. Because 'cause I'm like, "Man, as soon as he opens his fucking mouth, Jesus Christ, dude." I'm like, "Okay,
Well, I
I."
I think, thank you, Rumba. I
Mhm.
think that also comes down to the way in which, and I mean, even for 1991, James Cameron is trying to write a kid's perspective, and it comes across a
I
lot
don't
of
know if he
times
is.
as, "How do you do, fellow kids? I am a cool punk in the 90s," and it again, I would have been 0 years old at this point, but, like, I gotta think even at the time, none of this slang sounded natural.
I maybe, but again, that was what, 30 years ago at this point? 30
Yeah,
plus years ago? So
34.
maybe it was. Maybe if, I was a late teen at this age looking like watching it live and I'm like, "Okay, a couple years ago, yeah, that actually, like, made sense." I don't know,
It's
because I
possible.
don't know if I don't know if it's inherently like he made this from a kid's point of view. Because like,
Well, no, no, no,
the
that's
rest of the
that's that's
movie
not
is
what I'm
not a
saying.
kid's movie. One more time?
Definitely not, but I would say as standards and expectations have changed over the years, you could probably get away with this being a PG-13 movie now.
Yeah. I mean, really
Like,
the only,
don't
like,
get me wrong,
big scene.
there are some gory moments, but they're kind of few and far between.
Mhm. And then so that's one of my main issues that brought it down points wise, and then the other one is I'd forgotten how much of it is, Sarah Connor just losing her shit either in a nightmare or just there's so much of her, like, being the problem.
Yeah,
Like, I'm like, "Oh, I y" and again, I'm trying to imagine, like, putting myself as the character in her shoes, not the actress, being, "Okay, if that traumatic events had happened from the first movie and you've now spent time in a mental institution and you've been taking drugs," I'm like, "Yeah, maybe you would be acting this way," but just, like, the amount of time like, the whole bit where I think they show it maybe 2 or 3 different times in the movie where she's, like, at the chain link fence and, like, everyone basically dies in nuclear, explosion, like,
which that's
I
that's
we
that's a
got it,
great
dude. We fucking
iconic
got it.
scene. They do
It
repeat it
is.
a
It
lot.
is. Yeah, and that's where I'm like, "Okay, I bet this movie would be, like, real crisp at, like, maybe 2 hour 20." Because yeah, that's still a long movie, but I just yeah, I think they coulda trimmed out some of her stuff along the way. Because I
Yeah.
actually I like some of her voiceover, some of it. I think it's a
I
nice kind of narrative.
I've always held the opinion that so much of this movie being focused on her actually drags it down a lot. And that's not to say that I don't like her character or that, like, her plot doesn't make sense, but this would be such a more tense movie. It would be such a, again, it would be a quicker movie, I feel, if we just stick with the kid and the robot. I think once
Mhm.
we have to keep essentially grinding to a halt at some point, and keep having to throw her back into the midst slows the plot down a lot.
Agreed. Agreed.
So we've now mentioned, like, I would say, like, the big things that either haven't aged well or that we didn't like. What's some of the stuff that we do like?
Well, right off the bat, literally the opening scene where it's set in the future and it's the Terminators and the war going on.
Mm,
Honestly, I think it goes super fucking hard, which is sick, but, the trade-off is some of it looks very much like, "Oh, this was made in the late '80s, early '90s," but again, I think of when this came out, this would be like, "Holy fucking shit." Like, it feels like a much darker Star Wars and, like, the grandiose, like, the scene of it all. Whatever happened to THX? Like, the little logo came on at the beginning, I was like, "Man, what the fuck happened to them?"
I remember reading an article about this like a month ago, and I don't remember, but it did get absorbed into some other company. I think the big thing that sticks out that's good in this is the thing that I think everyone remembers is that like the big pioneering thing that puts this movie on the map, even like more so than the first one, is the VFX, and it still looks pretty good, all things considered. I mean, like
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
little
absolutely.
dated, but like it still looks very convincing. There's a lot of integration where they do actually have a bunch of uh, practical effects on the new Terminator that they kind of then use that to blend into the CG, but the liquid metal effect still looks great.
But there was no doubt, like, I bet I can't see again the Oscars. Like there can't be any way anything else comes close. Like from when he's the floor getting soaked up into the person. Anytime that he's all the
Oh yeah.
silver and slowly transitioning into a person. Uh, yeah, it's fucking great.
Well, I mean, maybe one of the defining shots from the movie, the bit where like there's the chase scene and they're going down the viaduct and there's that
Mhm.
huge explosion and he walks out from the flames, transitions from the metal into the man and starts chasing them on foot. That's fucking excellent.
When they are at the mall and they're in like the back hallways walking around or running around, when the Terminator first comes, so first they show us there's a shot of him just walking through the mall looking for John. And
Yeah.
then they cut to the hallway, and when Arnold walks around the corner, he's holding this box of red roses that he basically pulls his shotgun out of before he tells John to duck and shoot the other Terminator. But my thought was, okay, where did he get these roses? Did he have to go into a store to buy them? Which means he has to have money. Like, how? Why? I mean, I like that, like the shot of him like stepping on the roses to go to John's aid, but like if you think of the logics behind it, I was like, "Where the fuck did he get these roses?"
It is a little weird once you put any thought into it. Like again, that whole shot where him essentially it's shot from the floor up and you see him pull the shotgun out of the box of roses is very cool.
Yes, it is very cool,
But
and sometimes maybe that's all they were thinking of it.
probably so, probably so. Just like, where'd he get a minigun?
Well, remember he got the minigun from the
Right, from like the riot squad people.
no, he got the minigun from Sarah Connor's, like, Mexican friend out in the desert when they, like, loaded up with a bunch of shit.
Right. There's it's, I think as we mentioned earlier, this movie could do with some streamlining, I feel. But
See, again, that's why editing, I'm like, I feel like they coulda trimmed out.
there's a lot that goes on for the kind of movie this is, yes.
Yeah, for a kind of action movie, it's not, and there is good action in it, but I do feel like there are parts that I'm like, okay, trim it."
Well, and I think it's interesting that this is so clearly a science fiction action movie,
Yes.
whereas the first one is very much more of a science fiction horror movie. It's fairly
I would
light
say maybe
on
science fiction
action,
thriller, maybe?
kind of sort of. I just it's like he James Cameron made Terminator 1, then there's a break in between where he goes and he makes the second Aliens movie, which is, style-wise very similar to this, where it's very like describe it. It's very like commando action and that kind of a thing. And then after that, he then comes out with this, which also has that style. And in between trying to collect my thoughts, I lost my train of them.
I did look it up, by the way. So THX. So originally it was made by George Lucas and Tomlinson Holman in 1983. Basically, it was a test for Return of the Jedi. They wanted to make sure theaters could accurately play, and then eventually, so it was THX was owned by Lucasfilm, and then they sold it in 2002 to a different company, and then they sold it in 2016 to the gaming hardware company Razer.
Right.
So it's still technically active. It's just more behind the scenes for an industry that is not as, I don't know, open to the public as a movie might be. So it's still technically a thing. It's just, yeah, I feel like I just haven't seen that, the iconic, the sound and everything.
Yeah.
What else? Let's see. Maybe I think it was maybe just the era of like the grungy whatever, or the punk, or whatever the right wordage is. But like throughout the movie, especially towards the beginning, she kind of gets herself together. But both mom and son, God, they could both use a brush. Like, just get
Well,
your
yeah, they
hair
look
out
real
of your face.
unkempt
And I'm
and
like, there's half the time with Sarah Connor, I'm like, I can't even see what she's trying to emote because her hair's fucking in the way. So
yeah.
what else? Let's see. Uh, let's see.
It is difficult to think of. I mean, I kind of stopped taking notes just because I'm like, well, this is just fun, and I'm gonna point out the fun things about it, and that's not that doesn't make a fun, conducive episode, unfortunately.
Sure, and I think once you are set on the path, like there's I think a specific path that in the movie you can kind of tell what's going to happen more or less.
Oh, sure,
Yeah, there's not a whole lot to write about or think about. It's a very enjoyable ride, but I think it was, maybe it's the next one, the whatever it is, the what's the third one? Terminator 3 something? I can't even think of the title, but I think
I
that's
don't
the
remember
one
the
where,
Terminator.
well, just either way, I think it's the next one where they're, because it's such a straightforward science fiction action movie, you don't have a lot of action movies, there's not a whole lot of you need to think about. You're just there to enjoy it. That's why I think the first one maybe would have, again, I don't remember much of it, but either the first one or the third one, when like shit's either happening or shit's like starting to happen, might be more interesting to talk about. I'm not super sure, but either way, I'm glad we rewatched it because again, it's been Lord knows how many years since I've seen this.
Sure,
I
I
do think of
do.
all the other. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, so kind of like the big things that you take away from this are the action sequences, and I really love the night photography this uses.
Mm-hmm.
Like, lots of the night shots look incredible. But then again, I mean, even for it being the '90s and this is using CGI in a way that hadn't really been done before, there's still so many practical stunts that they're actually doing. Like, they're blowing up cars. There's it's just it's an impressive action movie in a way that I don't know that would be as impressive now because this had more limitations.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that they should have stopped making them after this, though.
Yeah, because again, even so, at the very beginning of this movie, I think the voiceover was where they were talking about, oh, that first they sent a Terminator back when John wasn't born, and then they planned to send another one back just in case that one failed when he was a young kid. And that, I'm like, okay, perfect. They have set exactly how many times they can do this.
Right.
I feel like, yeah. I Granted, I do not remember much from the third one, but it's The
It's
only
not
the
great. It's the one where they have the female Terminator.
Yeah, yeah, that's kinda what I remember. I'm like, I feel like this was a and is it even James Cameron for the 3rd one? I feel like it's
No,
not, right?
he does not come back after this because at that point he's
And that
making The Abyss. He's doing all these other things.
Yeah. So, yeah, I feel like they could probably stop, and I get that
Yeah.
it's a cool
So
concept and
Terminator
it's a
3: Rise of the Machines comes out in
Rise of the Machines, that's what it
2003,
was.
and that's also the one where they have like, yes, there is a female Terminator, but it's also the one where like the big threat is that they're gonna release like walkers and like essentially helicopters with guns, which is
Mhm.
not that interesting.
Well, if I remember it, number 3 was the one where, like, oh, this is when actually, like, Skynet goes online and, like, it's fucking over after this, basically.
Yeah,
Well, I think that's all of our thoughts more or less on, T2 Judgment Day or whatever kind of iteration of the title you'd like. You can find this movie.
I did have one more question.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So it is sort of T2 related, but I guess the question I would ask is, so after Terminator 1 and this one, what part of the formula do you think that the other, 4 movies are missing? Like, why do you believe that they go downhill so quickly?
Well, I think it's
I would say though, I do enjoy Terminator Salvation, but it's definitely still
I
not
do
as
too.
good.
Yes, I was just about to say, I was like, Terminator Salvation's, like, not bad, but it's actually got good acting in it, whereas I think a lot of the other ones, including the original verse 2, I think relied not as much on the acting, but on the concept and the effects. But I think the farther to present day you get, the more the effects are not that mind-blowing anymore,
That's true.
and like everything, I mean, do something new instead of just kind of more or less rehashing to a certain degree. Like a lot of this stuff is like, oh, it's there's a new Terminator and we're bringing back Arnold again. Like that's more or less a lot of them are just the same thing.
I agree.
Yeah, I think most that's why I think most like series or anything cap at 3 because even with 3 a lot of times by the 3rd one you're like, okay, it's usually not great, but at least you got a 3rd one. Like you shouldn't still be making some like that's why Mission Impossible. Yeah, there's a couple of them that stink quite a bit, and there was a huge gap between when they started making them and when they started kind of remaking them again. And I think
Yeah,
that's kind of one of the only ways to do it well, or at least semi well, is have some time between because audiences kind of get bored. We need new things. That's just my take on it, but yeah.
sure. Well, I was also looking, so like Terminator 2 comes out in 91, and then there's a good number of years between there where Terminator 3 is now 2003. There's like a 12-year gap until Terminator Genesis. Or well, I mean,
Salvation was '09.
yes. So Salvation, yes. I'd
But
forgotten that one.
Salvation almost it's entirely its own thing,
Well, that's almost why I didn't include it. And I think it
like,
had the most
Arnold's
chance
in it for,
of
like,
succeeding.
5 minutes.
Well, exactly. I think it had the most chance of succeeding because it is the one that actually tries to do something new.
Mhm, I agree.
Uh, so we have Salvation in 2009, which I think we both agree is good, just not as good. And then
Sure.
Genesis is 2015, where you have like geriatric Arnold Schwarzenegger, Arnold Schwarzenegger back again
Well, then they do,
with Amelia Clark for some reason.
and then they do Dark Fate, I think?
And then most recently, Dark Fate in 2019, where you also bring back Arnold Schwarzenegger and Linda Hamilton. And
Yeah, which it's just if no again, I guess it depends on who you're trying to market this to. Because 'cause I'm like, okay, the people who would have been around for the original, you're looking at just Linda Ha they're old as fuck. It's okay to do something new. They've made their
Well,
money.
and I think possibly just as a franchise, it can't survive past like 1 or 2 movies. It doesn't work the same way as other action franchises do.
I would just say that for again, I feel like most franchises in general should not do more. Like 3 is I think a hard cap, and most shouldn't even do like 2 movies. I think is perfectly acceptable.
Sorry, so that's not all we have.
So that is okay. I think that is all the things. Yeah, if you either agree with us, disagree with us, whatever, you know where to reach us if you want to reach us. From here, we usually transitioned into talking about either things we've seen, things we want to go see, trailers, that kind of jazz. Hayden, is there anything you watched in this last week?
Not really, because my schedule's been a little out of whack because of house sitting and other stuff.
Okay.
I would like to go watch Backrooms this weekend because I've heard nothing but good reviews about it. But also, I've been trying to stay away from spoilers because I don't want to know much about it, but I do want to see it. I know you went and saw Tuner, though, and I was interested in seeing if that was good or not because the trailer looked interesting.
Yeah. So it was exactly what I wanted it to be, which was basically a smaller kind of indie film version of Baby Driver to a certain degree, because both of them
That's
are
the
like
vibe I got from it, too.
young good kids who have like a specific set of skills that they have to use for crime to a certain degree, and they get mixed up. Both of them, music is a very heavy influence. One is because it's just he likes music, and one's he's a piano tuner. No, I thought it was really good. I thought I would give it probably a 4 to 4.5 out of 5. Again, maybe not a perfect movie, but I actually really enjoyed it. Dustin Hoffman is great in a minor role. He plays like the older owner of the tuning company that's kind of like the mentor to the young guy.
Sure.
And then the guy who is, God, what's his name? I don't know his name, but the guy who plays Leon the professional, you know who I'm
Jean
talking about?
Reno.
Yes, he has a very small role towards the end. He's good in it, but yeah, the music is great because it's not so a lot of it is like orchestral, classic piano heavy music, but all of the music throughout it is like piano is the star, and either if it's like fun, upbeat, like 50s, 60s piano stuff going, or if it's like orchestral stuff from like Beethoven. It's very, very good. There's I think the ending is again, I think it's one of those like sometimes you can kind of tell where the movie is gonna go, and sometimes like by like Terminator, it's it's not as important because again you're there for more like the action sequences and something like this where I could have guessed the ending. It wasn't super clear, but I could have guessed the ending, which is maybe not great because again it's you're not focused so much on the action sequences because there's not really action sequences in this. And
Hmm.
part of the reason why I think I really enjoyed this is the setting. So matinee ticket, middle of the day before work, basically no one else there. It was like $8, which it nowadays that's crazy cheap, which is kind of sad to say. But
That's true.
and I was thinking about this as I left the theater. I was like, man, I feel like just $8 to $10 should just be the standard for all. Like that should be what movie like. Why isn't this just what movie prices is for everything? Like the idea of a $22 ticket after tax is just but like people so many more people are going to take more chances to see a movie if they're not having to spend over an hour of their wages just to see that movie, if that makes sense. Yeah, it was just a very enjoyable experience. The lead is
Yeah.
going to be the lead in The Hunt for Gollum, which
I'm
I think he
so on the
looks
fence about.
inc- which okay, the thing is like his acting in Tuner was really good, but I the whole him not looking enough like young Aragorn or whatever, I don't know. He's got a much more rounded face than Aragorn. He's not as like a
Jamie
chiseled.
Dornan.
Jamie Dornan's not the young guy anymore.
Well, right, but I thought they had cast him as Aragorn.
I could have sworn it was this Leo Woodall. Hold on, let me look it up.
Okay,
Maybe I'm thinking of something else. Okay, never mind. He is an original character. Basically, he's another ranger along with Aragorn, but he is not Aragorn. Okay,
sure.
yeah, Jamie Dornan. Never mind. You were right.
No, it's all
Okay,
good. It's all good. It's all good.
and then I also saw, what else did I see this week? I saw Stay, which is from 2005. I had literally never heard of this, but it stars Ewan McGregor, Naomi Watts, and Ryan Gosling.
Never heard
And
of it.
yeah, same. The only reason is it's got really cool transitions.
Okay.
And that was like, I just saw a cut of it on Instagram. I was like, what the fuck is this? And it's, to sum it up, basically, Ryan Gosling and his parents are in a car crash. And then in the moments after the car crash where he's got like survivor's guilt, he's like, oh, I should have been dead. I should have been dead. And he's going in and out of consciousness. Basically, the entire movie is his consciousness, where he's in the dream of his consciousness trying to kill himself. And in the dream, Ewan McGregor and Naomi Watts, who are first on the scene in real life, are in his dream as like his psychologist. It's a weird fucky movie.
It
It's
sounds
not
like a
very good.
really depressing time.
Yes, but it's not like, it's just more weird, like, because it's a dream, he's like, "Oh, it's bright and sunny." In the dream, he's like, "Oh, I think it's gonna hail in, like, 2 minutes," and then in the dream, Ewan McGregor's like, "What are you talking about? It's sunny," and then it just starts hailing, and Ewan McGregor's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Well, because you're in a dream, but you don't know you're part of the dream." It's
Okay.
kind of a weird, dumb movie. Again, the only part that because it's a dream that was cool was all the transition from scene to scene. I thought it was, like, really cleanly cut, if nothing else. I watched the rest of Daredevil season 3, the one where they introduced Bullseye as a bad guy, which fucking great casting, great writing, it's excellent. I started Daredevil Born Again, which is the new Disney Plus side of it, and I have heard that the second season is significantly better than the first, and so far, the first is exactly what people are saying. It's very, it's Disney-fied to a certain degree.
That
The
was
the
my
the
fear.
Yeah, well, so at least, again, so far in the first season, but the Netflix stuff was so much more like dark, gritty, and all the lighting and everything was much more harsh. This, it's one of those, it almost looks too good. It's too like cinematically, like everything looks too
It's too
polished.
clean.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's almost too well lit.
Hmm.
Uh, and they're kind of sort of morphing Kingpin into sort of not as bad of a bad guy as they definitely made him out to be in the first 3
You can't
seasons
do
of.
that with Kingpin.
Well, again, it's also, I'm only like 3 or 4 episodes
Sure.
into the first, so they'll be like, Psyche's actually this piece of shit, so who knows?
Speaking of Disney Plus superhero properties, we did actually watch the first episode of Spider Noir,
Oh yeah, I forgot that was this week.
which is not the review you want to have.
Well, everyone has been like, most of the things I've seen about it are quite positive, but like,
That first episode was uneventful and not very impressive. I do agree that I have heard lots of stuff that, like, yeah, the rest of the season is great, but
we'll
it
see
really
what.
needs to
Yeah.
step up.
Well, I will say that watching it in the black and I think it was shot for black and white, which I think is really smart because it looks, again, all the silhouettes, all the lighting, the smoke, everything looks exactly like it should look for a noir from the 30s, which I think is great. But I also, and I think we'll have to see when as more episodes come, but the idea of casting Nick Cage, I just don't know if that was the right call, to be honest. Like, I think it
I
actually could be a
agree.
really I think it could be a really cool concept and series, even if they like, I just
I think
he's
the
such a
idea
Fruit Loop, dude. He's such a fruity guy.
I think the idea to cast him as the voice of Spider Noir in
Sure,
the Spider Verse movies,
sure.
that's great because he has a great sounding voice.
Yes, no, I
I think
100% agree.
once you have him on live action, he immediately comes across as just he's not cool.
No,
He's not
that's the thing, he's not cool.
he's not mysterious.
No.
He's not like he's not this, moody complex character that should be in a noir.
Yes.
He's Nicolas Cage. He's
Yes.
playing Nicolas Cage,
100%.
which
Again, that
I feel like he's out of place in the genre that it's trying to be.
Agreed. 100% agreed.
Like, if
I think
anything, it should have been, one, a younger guy,
yes.
and two,
Agreed.
someone who who can do serious a lot better.
Maybe not just serious, but serious with like the anti-hero moodiness, if
Yeah.
that makes sense. Yeah.
But I do agree that the lighting, I mean, even as far as just the first episode goes, the lighting looks great.
Yeah, looks fantastic. I don't know if I'd even go back to watch it in color because yeah, I've seen some of the stills from color. I'm like, it looks nice, but I don't know if it'd even be worth it.
I think after we watch all of it, I will probably, see what some of the episodes look like in color. But if it's definitely filmed for black and white, that's what I would choose to watch it in.
Yeah. Coming out, let's see. I know Hayden referenced Backrooms. My work, the movie theater, the spot that I work at, is showing Obsession for like 4 days.
Yeah, it's supposed to be
I
great too.
so again, when I set up the movie, I had to like basically skip around throughout the movie to make sure it's like loud enough for conversation, but not too loud for like explosions or things like that. And man, it is. I mean, this is kind of the hard part when you're trying to make a program for a horror movie because it's either like super dead quiet, and
Yeah,
then like it cuts to some, which is so some of the problem is also I get spoiled with a lot of what happens when I have to do this for work. But are you gonna go see this, or can I just talk about this freely? Excuse me.
I have unfortunately been spoiled to some of it, but I will like to watch it eventually. But
Okay,
at this
then I will
point,
not say no.
I probably know some of the things you're going to talk.
Well, just literally like one of the last scenes where like again I'm trying to set the timing, but girl busts through car window and just
Yes,
basically
fucks up her face.
pulverizes this chick into the steering wheel, and then like, oh sorry honey, let's go inside, and then he basically ODs to get away from her, and then she basically just pushes him aside, and the movie ends. I'm maybe if I watch the whole thing, maybe I'll feel there, and maybe I will in this coming week. I'm not super sure. I don't know if I can convince myself to either stay late, come early, or come in on a day off to watch a horror movie.
That doesn't
But
sound like you. No.
no, just I want good plot. That's why maybe Backrooms might be at least good. Because sure, I feel like even a marginally good horror movie, if you shot it well under
It
budget,
does
which
look like it is shot very well.
yeah,
Yes.
that's the thing. I'm like, okay, even if it looks good and you made it for pretty cheap, it's not gonna be that hard to make your money back. And sure, obviously, this is done way better than just making your money back. But I feel like maybe Backrooms at least has it looks like the story's at least more interesting.
Yeah. So just looking at some stuff that I shared on our shared page here. There's a new Ice Age coming out with the entire cast returning to voice.
Couldn't
Do
give a
you care?
shit.
Okay, don't care either.
Well, and
There's an
we are
Alan.
also not the target audience anymore
That's
by
very
like
true.
20
That's
years.
very true. There's a new Alan Ritchson movie coming out called Motor City.
Which, yeah, I bet it will probably be fun.
I think it'll be fun. I mean, just based on the movie poster, it also looks like it could have been a straight to streaming movie, but we'll see.
I feel like the last like 3 or 4, like he is once he became Jack Reacher, I feel like he's just only played the big kind of tough guy.
Well, I think when you're built like Alan Richardson, it's hard
Sure,
to play anything
sure.
else.
Which that's why I'm like, okay, he should try to do like a rom com or something. When I
Possibly.
went and saw, I forgot when I went and saw Tuner, I tried to write down all the trailers that came on. So
Sure.
first, they're making basically a biopic. Mostly, I think it looks like an actual documentary about some Italian fashion guy. Could not care less. It looks pretty, but like it's about
Okay.
him like discovering cashmere. I'm like, nah, don't
Yeah.
care.
Not the audience.
Wild Horse 9. Still, actually, I think it's
It
gonna
looks good.
be. I think it's gonna look great.
I think that, like Martin McDonagh's other movies, though, there is probably a
Yes,
sad underlying plot that
yes.
they are not showing.
Absolutely. They showed a different trailer for The Odyssey again. I'm going it's Christopher Nolan has now gone to the point where I can't see most of people who go to see almost any movie not going to go see his movie. So like, yes, I think it's almost a guarantee I'm going to see it at this point. Which kind of aspect ratio or whatever that I
Well,
see it in will be TB.
Well, and I mean, also it also depends on what still has tickets available because its screenings are already selling out, and it doesn't come out for like
Mhm.
what 2 months,
Yeah. Yeah, they're which
which is
again,
cool,
good for him.
which is good for movies. But
Yeah. They showed a commercial for a Scott Eastwood World War II, like Battle of the Bulge, survival, the only guy getting out of there kind of thing.
sure, sure.
Okay,
I'm
fine, whatever.
surprised. I'm surprised Scott Eastwood's career wasn't bigger given who he came from. I mean, like
Sure, the
if you're
nepotism of it,
this,
yes,
well,
absolutely.
I mean, not even just the nepotism of it. You would think people would want you to be in their movies, and he's not like a bad actor.
No, he's not. I mean, a good-looking guy, like he's fit. He's got the face for an actor,
Yeah,
and
I'm always
the
surprised
things I've
he.
seen him in, I'm like like I think he's serviceable. I don't think he's going to win an Oscar, tomorrow. But
Well, I mean, Clint Eastwood wasn't actually a good actor. I mean, I think that might be a
eh,
hot take. I don't think Clint Eastwood was like some amazing actor. I think he looked cool and was
yes,
in good movies.
he was.
I
Yeah, he
don't
was in
know
the
that.
era of mostly looking cool. Yes,
I think I would group him in the same way I would group in Harrison Ford. Looks
I feel like
cool.
I don't know.
I
That's
don't
an
know that.
interesting. It's an interesting take because I definitely get it for Clint Eastwood, but I feel like Harrison had at least more personality to him.
I think he has some personality to him. And again, I'm not saying I think he's a bad actor. I just don't think he's like a great actor. I think he's fine, but
Mhm,
he's mostly there because he's very handsome, especially back in the day,
mhm.
and he was a big name that people wanted to see in action
Sure.
movies.
Yeah, okay, that's fair, that's fair. They also showed a trailer for like, re-theater version of Train Spotting, which I've never seen. I don't know if I don't think I'd go to the theater to see it, but
Spotting
I
one,
think it
I think you should see it at least once. It's really good. It is purposely uncomfortable and not fun.
well, of course, the trailer, they show all the fun bits from the movie, and then I'm like, "Yeah, but I also know that this movie's supposed to have other themes to it that are not as
It's
fun."
about being
So,
addicted to heroin
yes.
in 90s era Scotland.
Yeah. And then they showed I didn't write the title down, but they showed a Kurt Russell, Matthew McConaughey,
Yes.
something about where, like, they're stealing honey from each other.
So I also shared the title card for that on our stories here. That is called.
It's like
Let me
the
find
something
it.
of his
Yeah,
God, I can't think of it
it's
now.
some wacky ass title.
Either way,
Well, it's now no
those
longer
were all
here
the
because it's.
trailers,
But yes,
and I mean, again, I would probably see 2 out of 6 of those.
sure. Let's see. There's also a Mark Wahlberg and the
I I like
guy
the other
from Green
guy.
Book whose name I can't
Yeah,
pronounce.
that's not the guy from Green Book.
No, you're right. That's
That's Mahershala
when
Ali. This is, like, you I can never say his name right, but
Yaha Abdul Mateen II.
yes, and the things that I've seen him in, I generally
He's
enjoy him
decent.
in.
I
Uh,
I
did
think
you
it's
do you ever
poison because it's starring Mark Wahlberg, and Mark Wahlberg isn't a good actor.
No, he's not.
He
He's
plays
just
the
not.
same Boston tough guy in everything.
Yes. Did you ever see obviously, there's the movie Watchmen. Did you see the limited series for Watchmen is so good?
I know it's loved by many people. I really, really liked the movie Watchmen,
Yeah, the
and
movie's
I
great.
don't want to have my I don't know. I already felt satisfied with that adaptation of the story. I never went around to watching the series.
'Cause he plays, Doctor Manhattan in it. Very
Yeah.
good. Very fucking good. Okay.
I don't know. I just I so really like
Oh, yeah. No, the Zack Snyder is great.
it's one of like the Zack Snyder ones that fits his aesthetic
Style.
so well.
Yes. Yes. Jeffrey Dean
Jeffrey Dean
What
Morgan as the
Jeffrey Dean
comedian
Morgan,
is amazing.
great. I mean, everyone, Rorschach.
Oh, yeah.
What is it? Owl, Mr. Owl. What's night? What's the not Batman? Batman. I can't think of his fucking name. Either way,
Yeah. Something like that, yes.
so that was Terminator 2. Then we talked a little bit about the things we've seen, things we want to see. Anything else, Hayden? I guess before we announce next week's film.
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. Well, next week, folks, we're going to be watching a movie that came out also this year. So I know we referenced some movies that we are looking forward to, but this one has gotten quite a bit of hype. I feel like I've seen online. It's called Remarkably Bright Creatures. This is on Netflix. This is Lewis Pullman. This is Sally Fields, who I'm shocked she's still alive. I could have sworn she was
And she's
dead.
not that old.
She
She
maybe. Hold on,
she's
Sally.
probably that old, but she doesn't look that old, in my opinion.
Sally Fields.
So
Wait.
while Duncan Googles, I actually have heard almost nothing about it, only seen like the poster and kind of vaguely what it's about, but I think it sounds unique enough and offbeat enough to where I would want to watch that over, with the greatest respect to the movies that we've watched recently, another 90s action movie.
Yeah. Well, and I think maybe the only reason I've seen anything about this because a lot of, or maybe a good portion of my Instagram is ocean or scuba
Well,
based,
I was
and
gonna say that
this
seems
is
much
adjacent to
more.
that.
Yeah.
And Sally Fields she's going to turn 80 in about a month and a half.
I mean, I don't know. I feel as far as legacy actors in Hollywood,
I
that's not as
suppose.
old as some of the other ones.
Sure, sure, sure. I mean, the guy who got cast as Harvey Dent's dad in the Batman 2
Uh, Charles Dance.
from, yeah, I mean, he's old as fuck, isn't he? He's got it. I think he's in his
Yeah, but
80s.
I feel like he was born looking old as fuck. I've never seen him in anything and have him look young.
Well, that's the thing. Like him and Gandalf, I mean, they didn't even get famous or at least well known until they were older men anyway.
That's very true. That's very true.
Even if they were quote unquote working actors prior, even they didn't get their like break until that point. Either way,
Regardless, though, we will
remarkably,
discuss all of this and more next week with the Octopus movie.
yep, remarkably bright creatures. It's on Netflix. Either watch it or don't, and we'll talk to you all next week.